we are now in the AI age,
Mm,
and
mm,
if you are stuck with only doing things that is within your comfort zone, then you're going to get left behind. If you are thinking about getting into cybersecurity,
yep,
it's just a matter of making that decision
yep.
and being persistent with it. Our mission
Mm.
is to build a perpetual skilled pipeline of cybersecurity professionals to serve the needs of this over 3.5 million unfilled cybersecurity jobs. Our fear is what keeps us from the next milestone in whatever journey that we have.
Welcome to the Superhuman Mindset podcast. My name is Felix Asare, and today I have with me another extraordinary guest. Guys, I tell you this man here has 10 years of experience as an active duty professional. Like active duty, think about it, 10 years in active duty, 13 years as a reserve. Man, he's had operations in Kuwait, Iraq, Afghanistan, Saudi Arabia, just to mention a few. This just blows my mind. He's a veteran entrepreneur. He is an advocate for veterans. He's a founder of the Cyber Warrior Network. And this man has created the biggest and baddest game in cybersecurity, which is the Cyber Wraith game. And this game has been deemed the Call of Duty for ethical hackers. And I kid you guys, like, as I tell you this, I've actually tried that game and it's not a joke. It is just like playing Call of Duty. And with this, I want to introduce you guys to Mr. Nigel LeBlanc. Nigel, welcome to the Superhuman Mindset podcast. How are you
Well,
doing today?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you for having me. We talked a little bit before. Every day above ground is a good day, man. And I am
Wow.
humbled by your introduction and your enthusiasm. And I want to thank you for the opportunity for what you do. I think what sets Superhuman Mindset podcast, aside from the majority of platforms out there, is that you are actually interested in the what drives people to aspire to do X, Y, or Z, and
Yep.
what is really behind that motivation for that, and that desire for impact. So
Absolutely.
before we even jump into it, man, I want to give you your flowers and your kudos. I want to thank you for not only creating the platform, but for giving me the opportunity to be vulnerable, because it's going to be different than the other conversations I've had. So we'll see how it goes, right?
Yes, absolutely. And I think we'll just jump right into it. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And, you gave me a copy of the game. I did the registration, and I'm just like, when I started looking at it, honestly, my first thought was, okay, what is this really about? And when I downloaded the game and I started to go through the process, I literally had to stop because I've been playing Call of Duty for a long time. Like in college, that's all we did. Like we would bring, when they had the 30, 32, 36 in TVs, we would bring them all together and we'll have our own clan and then play. But I've never seen a game that is just like that. And it's not about me wasting my time or just whiling away time. I'm actually learning cybersecurity. Like the part that blows my mind is when I got into one of the first quests, it actually started taking me through aircraft NG, how to do Active Directory, like scanning. I'm just like, wait, hold a minute. What? Bro, what I want to ask you, are you a cybersecurity expert?
No, no, not at all. So it's funny. Although I have a cybersecurity startup, I often tell people that I don't even have access to my database. My CTO and co-founder won't even allow me to to mess with it. If you want something broken, just give me access to any digital platform, and I'm gonna break it. But the game is unlike any other, and I'll kind of share a story here. So Cyber Warrior Network, which is the company that I co-founded with my CTO. His name is Justin. And in terms of my military career, I'm Air Force and his Army, so we won't hold that against him, right? I often joke, but the dude is he's somewhat of a unicorn in the sense that he's a data scientist and a
Hmm.
cybersecurity professional. So I lucked out, and we can get into my journey of finding the co-founder. But very early on when we connected, I was looking for a product that could really validate hands-on keyboard experience. Took a
Wow.
look at the market. Esports was on the rise, and there was this standalone game in Steam. So there's actually a commercial copy of the game. And I reached out. My co-founder and I were talking. I was like, "Dude, we're gonna buy this game. Like, we're gonna, roll this into our platform." And he looked at me, and keep in mind, we, you know, bootstrap, not funded. He was like, okay, well, yeah, this dude is crazy. He's talking about me, right? So then I reached out to the developers and we formed a partnership. And, lo and behold, we have Cyber Wraith, which is a special edition of the game. On the back end of the game, we are using behavioral analytics and then also the actual way that folks solve the challenges in the game, and
Hmm.
we've matched it. We've created an algorithm that really matches folks' knowledge, skills, and abilities to either the NICE 2.0 framework, the MITRE ATT&CK, or the Cyber Kill Chain. So, in if you think about it, the game is designed and developed based off of real world scenarios, of course, fictitious characters, but it's all real world scenarios, right? And it's so realistic that we've had folks from, like the NSA or other organizations be like, "Hey, I actually worked on that mission in real life," right? We had a few organizations that they kind of tested the game out, and part of their issue was like, this is too real, so to speak, right? So it's a phenomenal platform, and no matter what level you're at, you could be a novice. You can learn from the game, and even if you've been in the industry for quite a while, you're going to run into scenarios that you may not deal with on a regular basis. So it could be a great refresher, or it might be new territory for you in terms of the scenarios you've never done it, and it sparks your interest, and you can just kind of keep upskilling. So
So let
we
me let me take a step back. I want to make sure my listeners are hearing this the same way that I'm hearing this. You are not a cybersecurity expert.
no. So matter of fact, I'll tell you how I got into cyber. From 2014 to 2016, I served as the cyber veteran program manager for the state of Maryland. Prior to
So
that,
prior to that, you were in cyber. Because
nope,
this just blows my mind. Can you
nope,
see this?
nope, nope. Um, I'll share a couple of stories. So prior to that, I was contracted. There is this organization called TechStars. You've heard of Y
Mm.
Combinator, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
TechStars
Yep.
is a program like Y Combinator, very, very successful. And I'd gone through their Patriot Boot Camp, and I had two other startups prior to Cyber Warrior Network. And then they hired me as a contractor to go out in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area
Hmm. Hmm.
to
Hmm.
to try to start a partnership program. And I worked with a gentleman by the name of Roger London, great friend and mentor of mine. And we were on this mission to start a cybersecurity accelerator, right?
Wow.
And this is before, I often joke with him and other people like, man, I wish Shark Tank was on at the time, right?
Yeah.
Because 2013, 2014, um, although accelerators was starting to kind of gain in
Starting. Yeah.
popularity, it out in the DC, the DMV area, everybody's like, what? We invest in these entrepreneurs, and then they go out and they raise funds. So that didn't work out in that area at that time. Um,
Hmm.
so then I got hired by the state of Maryland to become the cyber veteran program manager for the state of Maryland. Right.
So let's talk about
Um,
your veteran piece for a second. I want to dig deeper into that. So, okay, so you did undergrad, you
mhm.
decided to go into the military. Did I get that right?
Well, so I joined the military to get benefits to go to school. So
Oh,
I'm
okay, okay,
originally from the Caribbean, and when
okay,
I
okay.
came to the U.S. in 1999, I was trying to go to school, right? And even community college was just, because at that time I didn't, I didn't have my citizenship, and the cost was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
So joined the Air Force in order to do that. So I completed my undergrad while I was serving active duty, right?
Wow.
There were
What
times I
was your
would
undergrad in?
communication and electronic engineering. So I understand um, enough to just have a conversation, but I'm not as smart as you guys, right? Um, so
Wow.
I often tell people, I'm the dumbest one on my team. If you
So okay, okay. So Nigel, wait. Because you are so smart. You go so fast. So someone who came from another country decided to join the
Air Force.
military,
Hmm.
join the Air Force. You finally decide, you know what? While I'm in the Air Force, I'm going to go to school, and then you're doing electronics and communications.
Hmm.
So how does that transition to becoming this superpower that's created this fantastic game?
Um, so I had I had always been interested in technology, right?
Wow,
And I kind of got into cybersecurity, like really start digging deep into cybersecurity right around 2011, 2012.
wow.
And I couldn't stop consuming content or books about it. Um, so I just anything I could get my hands on,
Hmm.
I would do it, right?
Wow.
What really kind of sparked this journey for Cyberware Network was during my time at the role in Maryland.
In Maryland, yeah.
During my first 2 weeks, man, I think they did some type of promotional video. They did an interview with me, and then, dude, I was inundated with calls and emails from transitioning military members and people who had transitioned, which veterans saying, "Look, I have cybersecurity experience, but I'm still struggling to find a job."
Hmm.
Right? So everybody I spoke to was like, "Man, forward me your resume." So I took about 50, 60 resumes. I forwarded that to all of our partners that we work in. Now, keep in mind, part of my job there um, was not only to help vets launch businesses and careers within cyber, but I also help commercialize drones in Maryland, and then also we put on like the big cyber Maryland conference, right? So I
Wow.
was in, talking with, like either General Alexander from the NSA or different folks, in really, um, high level positions where they have the connections in order to start hiring some of these
Yep.
veterans, right? So
Yep.
it started off as just trying to help vets. So I said, well, I'm going to use our military career and training. And then right around that time, NIST came out with the first version of the NICE 2.0 framework, right? So I was on
Yep.
the NIST working group for military. I said, well, hey, I
Okay.
can
Okay.
use this framework, match it to our military career and training, and then we can show employers just how qualified these veterans are, right?
Yep.
So that sparked Cyber Warrior Network. And then, started getting a few folks hired. And then the same employers were saying, all right, it's great that you can do this for military members. We wish you could do it for everybody.
Wow.
So I knew I didn't want to, launch another job board. I knew I didn't just want to have another military translation tool. So again, we took a look at the market and was like, well, how can we really validate hands-on keyboard experience using data science and this thing called this NICE 2.0 framework as the basis, or in order to create an algorithm that could do that. And then when we found the game, we partnered
Mhm.
up with the developers who created it, and
So
the
let me
rest.
hear this right. If I am somebody who is like Nigel, who has, an undergrad in maybe health sciences, or I'm a nurse or anything like that, but I have this curiosity about cybersecurity. And what I keep on hearing is, oh, well, I have the curiosity, but I don't have the hands on keyboard. I don't have that technical part. What you are telling me is I can sit behind this game, play this game, and it will validate that for me.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's so many stories I can share in terms of people not having the traditional, educational or technical background, and they get into cyber. I'll give you a couple of examples. We've hosted competitions, esports tournaments at DEF CON, and
Yep.
for your audience, if you don't know, DEF CON is the largest hacking conference in the world, right?
Yep. All the
During our
hackers gather at DEF CON in
Oh yeah.
Vegas.
So during our first tournament, our good buddy Joel Abraham, and shout out to Joel,
Yep. Hi,
um,
Joel.
he, we're looking at the stats, and then he calls me and he was like, "Hey, did you know that there's a 14-year-old girl who placed in the top 25?" So I'm like, "Yeah, Joe, stop playing, man." Well, come to find out, lo and behold, there was a 14-year-old girl who participated. Her dad also participated. I think he came in like third, and she was probably like number 21, right?
Wow.
So um, that blew us away. Of course, we
Yep.
couldn't connect her with employers, but what we did was we featured her the next year during DEF CON on a panel called "The
Hmm.
Future of Women in Cybersecurity," and we had her
Wow.
on a panel with one like the CISO of One Login and other notable women within cybersecurity, right? So that's one example.
Wow.
Um, the military, Air Force, every branch is hurting for cybersecurity professionals, just like any other organization, right? Um, within the military, well, let me kind of back up. U.S. Cyber Command,
Hmm.
when it was brought together, they took folks from a vast amount of different career fields, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
there were lots of non-technical and non-cyber guys. But I'll give you an example. There in one of the reserve cyber wings that we've done events with. We asked the
Hmm.
same question, like, "Hey, tell us your career trajectory, like your career path in order to get to cyber." Man,
Yep.
we've had folks who were paramedics. We've had folks who were doctors. We've had mechanics, and they all cross-trained into cybersecurity, and they just had to
Wow.
have the aptitude for it. You know,
Wow.
there are so many conversations where folks believe that cybersecurity is, in order to be successful within cybersecurity, that you only have to have the technical skills, right?
Yep.
But when you think about an organization and a business, there's multiple ways that
Multiple
you can
facets of it.
provide
Yep.
value, right?
Absolutely.
So n-
Absolutely.
I've I've worked with teams or been in rooms, particularly pertaining to cybersecurity operations, and there are psychologists on those
Wow.
teams because again, there is a human aspect behind the keyboard, right? So
Wow.
I often tell people, do not sell yourself short. If you are thinking about getting into cybersecurity,
Yep.
it's just a matter of making that decision
Yep.
and being, persistent with it.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, I heard you talk on the panel when you were talking about do not sell yourself short because we usually sell ourselves short. So now talk me through how most people have a lot of ideas. A lot of people sit, ideas come to them. They have the first block that talks about, oh my gosh, I don't have all the resources. I'm not in this field yet. You've proved that, dude, you don't need to be in the field to be able to do that. You just have to tell yourself, I'm ready to go. How did you move from ideation of this idea to actually bringing it to a reality where you are in DC, I am here, and I have this on my computer?
So I want to preface this with a short story.
Okay.
When I think I was in Iraq or Afghanistan. Well, I was traveling between both countries. This was countries. This was my second or my third deployment. But one of the first books that I read was Think and Grow Rich,
Mm,
and
Napoleon Hill.
yeah, and within that there was Henry Ford's story, right? And
Mm,
lots of people know this, but essentially, they Henry. Henry Ford was, I guess, brought to court or something, and they said, "Hey, you know what? You don't have the knowledge, skills, or abilities to run this, this car factory. What are
Mm,
you doing?" It's like, well, hey, I have a professional that could answer any questions, and they all work for me, right?
mm.
So I don't need to have that. And so, and there's
Am I superhuman? Why haven't you subscribed? Make sure you click on the link below to subscribe. Thank you.
so many different examples of that. In terms of, for me personally, if I see there's a problem, I just have to try to fix it.
Wow.
And the the if you'd ask me, the key to ideation to where I'm at right now is simply perseverance.
Wow.
Understanding that there is this is an emotional roller coaster,
Mm,
but it gives me, this is my mission, right? I have to move forward to this, and I may lose a particular battle, which I've often done, but I'm still in the fight. So,
wow.
my progression from ideation, which is identifying the need, trying to fix the problem within my role in Maryland, and then when I left, I knew that I was going to pursue this. So
Mm,
it took me a few years to get a co-founder, and within that time, I have to convince people that this is a worthy endeavor, right?
wow.
And fortunately, I was able to get a few people behind me, and we're at the place right now where we're focused on growth, rather than just adoption.
So when people look at you, they are thinking, "Man, this guy created this game." Especially when they start to play the game and then they see all the visuals and then they see Hillary talking and all of the cool things that show up. I'm pretty sure they are going to be thinking, "This guy just had it made." Yeah, you went into
No,
the military. Yeah, everything was all good. Now you have all these people backing you. How did you find that confidence?
I have a saying: you gain confidence with competence,
Mm,
and you gain competence with persistence. You have to fail.
you gain confidence with
Competence.
competence. So competence builds confidence.
Yes. And
And then
the
consistency will build your reputation.
yes.
Wow.
So you have to be willing to fail, right?
Mm,
And again, I didn't build the game. We didn't. We partnered with the game studio who built the game, and then we said that there is a bigger mission that we can use this game, and
wow.
we've brought it into high schools, universities, and organizations, and the reaction is very much like what you have experienced when you do get into the game, right? But then to be able to use our engine and our algorithms and all of the upgrades that we have made, we're now able to show at any level, it could be the player, a student, or even an organization, validated skill sets of this talent, right? And if
Mm,
you
mm,
would ask me, what is our mission is simple. Our mission
mm.
is to build a perpetual skilled pipeline of cybersecurity professionals or enthusiasts, right? But
Wow.
essentially to build a talent pipeline to serve the needs of this over 3.5 million unfilled cybersecurity jobs.
Wow. Wow. Man, your story just blows my mind because I've been in IT for over 20 years. I've been practicing cyber for the last 16. And then when I look at what you've been able to do, I just can't help but find myself wanting to understand how many people are there, how many Nigels are out there right now that have ideas that are going on through their mind, but they don't have the confidence to be able to take the first step in order to even build that competence. What are some of the things that you have learned along this journey that you would do so much better, or you'd want the next person to know to let them know that indeed it is possible?
Um, be willing to fail. That it
Mm.
starts there, because our fear is what keeps us from the next, you know, the next milestone in whatever journey that we have. Oftentimes, right? Um, it's not an easy it's not an easy thing if you say you want to go and you want to build a successful organization. Look, 90% of startups fail, right?
Mm.
Um, but I would rather fail than not try at all. I don't want to regret, if I'm about to die, right? And thinking about my life, and you know, be like, man, I should have done that and just never tried.
Mm.
So now,
When did
I
you learn that lesson that you want to fail? Because everybody talks about, do you really want to be like, when I grew up, we would always have all these pass marks, right? For the exams. Grew up in Ghana, you have all these pass marks. They give you the test. Dude, you fail? You are being shamed. And today I'm hearing you say, I'm willing to fail. It does not add up. When
so
did you learn that?
when you learn to walk,
Hmm.
you know the saying, crawl, walk, run,
Walk.
right?
Yep.
When you started, either if it was riding a bicycle, learn to ride a bicycle, or skateboarding, or whatever it is, you fell
Hmm.
many times.
Hmm.
But the problem is that with our educational culture, failing is looked as something that should be shunned or shamed, right?
Hmm.
But in the real world, there is no one answer to everything. I mean,
Hmm.
unless it's something, what's the capital of this place or whatever it is. But let's take cybersecurity. There's multiple ways to solve a particular problem, right? So when I say you have to be willing to fail, is that if you're going to go through this emotional roller coaster, don't be scared of whenever it drops. And if you embarrass yourself, you live to kind of attack it again.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So that's what I mean by you have to be willing to fail. This is my third startup. The other two failed.
Wow.
And, you know, I've learned lessons along the way, right? And I've
Yeah,
changed.
because I remember you did you were trying to do the startup for did you call it like a Pinterest for hairstylists right before
Yeah,
Booksy and all of these apps
yeah,
came?
yep,
Yeah.
yep. So it was called Hair Slayer. And that came from my military experiences. Like every time I got moved to a different base, I had to go try to find a barber, a good barber,
Yeah, I
right?
have that problem too, just saying.
So I was like, and then there's this documentary called Good Hair, right?
Mm.
And I didn't like I never thought about the amount of money that was being spent on hair, right? Like, hey man, let me get a ball fade and I'm good to go.
Yep.
High and tight military, But then during that, I started to kind of dig into it, and that's how I launched that startup, right? But then again, there's multiple reasons why it wasn't successful, and
Mm.
it's just part of my journey. It's just part of my learning. So
Wow. So here at Superhuman Mindset, we always want to let our viewers and our listeners know the things that have aided us in this journey. If you were to look back at Nigel, who his first day in the military, in the Air Force, what would you tell him?
ooh, that's a good question, Felix. Start on my entrepreneurial journey sooner.
Hmm. Tell me more about that.
Um, so in the military, it has no doubt left a, like, it's shaped who I am, right?
Yep.
And although my undergrad, when I was doing that, it was all about becoming an officer because I was enlisted, right?
Mm, 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 mm.
And I had been accepted to, officers training school, and then after I kind of had this like paradigm shift when I in my second deployment or third deployment, where I read Think and Grow Rich, and then it was Rich Dad Poor Dad, and then like it was over. Like I
Mm,
just consumed everything, right? And I knew I had that entrepreneurial bug, but I wasn't listening to myself.
mm,
All right.
mm, mm.
Here was this structure in the military. Again, wouldn't change that. I would stay in the military, but my mindset would be, instead of only focusing on, going to school, just getting the checkbox in order to become an officer, think
Yep.
about my entrepreneurship passion and really kind of live that, you know. Um, that's one of the things that I would tell my younger self.
Wow. Wow. So I know you're a busy man, and I don't want to take a lot of your time, but I want to
Oh
ask
man, I'm
this.
loving this, dude. We can keep we can keep going. Yeah.
I want to ask this. What are the things that you are seeing out there right now that you think the rest of the world should know about, especially on this journey? Now that you are interfacing, because I mean, the job market is really hard right now. What are
Yeah.
some of the things that you are seeing that you think folks should be paying attention to that they are not?
Um, I think a few things.
Yeah.
Um, One, if folks are not investing or embracing AI, they're going to be left behind.
Mm, mm,
Um, so if you haven't started looking into it, it's just we are now in the AI age. There's no doubt
mm,
about that.
mm,
And
mm.
and if you are stuck with only doing things that is within your comfort zone, then you're going to get left behind. That's number one.
Wow.
Number two, a little bit from a cyber perspective,
Mm-hmm.
but I think the CrowdStrike event a couple of weeks ago
Yep.
has definitely, and if people are not paying attention, has exposed the fragility of our connected world, right?
Absolutely.
And at we are inherently, because we live in a digital world,
Mm-hmm.
we are by default all digital defenders,
I like
right?
that.
But the problem is that most people will passively say that's somebody else's responsibility. So if you are not investing in at your level, right? Doesn't mean that if you are a doctor you should stop doing it, but you should kind of educate yourself about the world that we live in.
Mm,
And we live in the AI age in a digital world. So
mm.
so that's that. Now from an entrepreneurship perspective,
Yep.
um, ideas are cheap. They're easy, right? It's about the persistence, the follow through, and if you are thinking about doing something, find a solution to a problem, not creating a how do they say it? It's kind of like, you actually have to solve a problem that is big enough so people can understand and make an
Mm,
impact,
mm,
right?
mm, mm, mm.
So if you have an idea, start today, and you can start by either consuming information, and then surround yourself with people that will help you
Mm, mm.
go build that solution for that problem, and or whatever mission it is that you have, right?
Yep.
Especially young men, who are, and I would say young women too, but particularly for men, we have to have a mission, man. It's like when you get on Call of Duty, we got to fight the boss, right?
Yep.
That's why there's a boss level on every game, right? is that this is your mission. So,
Yep.
you know, figure out what your mission is,
Wow.
and then, surround yourself with the best people that you can and go after it, you know?
So okay, so I've heard this saying several times. You are the sum of the five people you hang around with.
Yeah.
I am an entrepreneur. I have all these ideas. I hear Nigel telling me, Felix, ideas are cheap. How do I find the right people to surround myself with?
It's all around us, man. Look, I found my CTO on LinkedIn. I have been able to connect with people, dude, at the highest levels inside of either government or in commercial, settings, by literally just sending them a note on LinkedIn. Look, my name is Nigel. I have this mission. I just, I'd like 15 minutes of your time to get your feedback. And
Wow. On
sometimes
LinkedIn.
on LinkedIn, on LinkedIn. I mean, I'm not going to name drop, but you know, um, I mean, major household brands, I've been able to get feedback from them just because they too are either, on the same mission, or they like the mission that I'm doing. There,
Hmm.
you can go out and find your tribe, my friend. It's about you putting yourself out there, and then, there will be people that will respond to it. One of my most favorite books, David Goggins, right?
Yeah,
The
yeah, yeah,
the Yeah. All right. So
yeah.
favorite book is Can't
Crazy
Hurt Me,
guy.
right? Yeah. So he said that, when he was, thinking about writing the book, he was going to talk himself out of it, right? Like, who's going to want this men's self-help book? And he had to talk about all of the stuff that he went through. He came an international bestseller, right? So,
Hmm.
I take little lessons like that, and it's about like, hey, there are people who think like me and will be
Hmm.
willing to graciously give me some of their time, and then,
Yep.
they'll give me feedback, good, bad, or indifferent, man.
Hmm.
But that's, you start building your tribe, and then it becomes a movement.
Wow. Build your tribe and then it becomes a movement.
Yeah.
Nigel, this has been so good. And I know we're definitely going to bring you back so we can talk more. How can people take advantage of the game? How can people get in touch with the Cyber Wraith and the Cyber Warrior Network? What do people need to do?
um Simple. You can go on our website, Cyber Warrior Network, and if you want access to the game, there's a form there you fill out, and then we can connect with you. For employers, we essentially we can help you build a talent pipeline. Um, we work with educators. We're working with a few universities, but I'll share a story here. Um, last last fall, and kind of, went
Hmm.
on to the spring. We did our inaugural esports league. We partnered with University of Texas San Antonio and Simani, which is the Cyber Manufacturing Institute, and we hosted that with four high schools across San Antonio, five classrooms, over 140 students. So,
Wow.
we're bringing this from middle schools all the way to university. And again, our mission is simple, build a skill pipeline to solve our cybersecurity needs. So, even on social media, it's CWN Cyber on all platforms. You can connect with us there as well.
That's amazing. Any last words that you would want to tell the next person that is looking to become like Nigel someday?
I don't know about becoming like me, but uh, again, man, like, your greatness lies, and I know this is kind of cliche, but this is something I hold very dear. Um, on the other side of whatever it is that you're afraid of,
Hmm.
that's where your greatness lies. And for me, um, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've been uncomfortable. Dude, I pitch, right? Like you got to pitch your investors, you got to pitch this. I pitch all the time. And when I first started, there's a YouTube video when I pitched Here's Slayer with Techstars Patriot Bootcamp, right? And I sucked,
Yep.
right? And not to say I'm, the world's greatest
Yep.
pitcher right now, but I say this to say that again, you build confidence with competence, and the only way you get competent is to keep trying, and you're gonna fail. So, you know, don't let that deter you. So that's one of the things again I
Wow.
want to kind of double tap on, man.
Wow. Wow. You build, so your competence is going to be built by your confidence, or your confidence will be built by your competence. Did I get that right? So
Yep.
competence builds
Yes, sir.
confidence.
Yes.
Competence will
Yep.
build your confidence. And then your consistency will build your reputation. You just got to remember, ideas
Yep.
are cheap. It's all about the follow through and the consistency. Nigel, it has been
Yeah.
amazing having you on this podcast. And I look forward to us having more conversations on this and exactly some of the ways that we can better share this out there so people can know. Guys, I, I, I kid you not. I've been in this space for, like I said, almost 20 years, man. Guys, I've played Call of Duty. I've played this game just by seeing the first few objectives that are out there. It's not a joke. Like, you are really going to learn. If you want to get your hands dirty and know something that can actually, and guess what? It's not just about playing the game. It's about playing the game and you can get your transcript. What do you guys call it, Nigel? When you play the game, you get
Yeah. You
a
get a player card.
dossier.
Yep. Cyber
Yep, you get a
dossier.
play. Mhm.
Yep. And again,
So
dude, this is the funnest
mhm.
way to learn cybersecurity, right? It's the absolute
Yep.
funnest way to learn cybersecurity. So again, you have nothing to lose. If you are passionate about this, then here's a great way to start getting into cybersecurity.
Wow. I'm going to work with Nigel to see if I can get a code for you guys. Whoever wants to try it out, we'll give you a code, try it out, and then go see. I think it's going to be really, really fun. Like this, I've taught cybersecurity. I have taught it in person. I've taught it online. I've tried to show people with labs, set up labs. That's actually the easiest way to do it. And I can't recommend it more. Nigel, thanks for joining the Superhuman
You know what,
Mindset podcast. And I look forward
Felix,
to us
brother?
talking some more.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. And to all of your listeners, I will send you a link that if they want the game, all of your listeners can get the game for free.
Wow. Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Really,
Thank
really,
you both
really
of you, brother.
appreciate it. Thanks for your
Thank you for
time.
having me.
All right.
All
Thank
right.
you.